How's it going? I did it. I beat Silksong. Not the full thing, just the main story, but before I 100% the game, I need to take a breather and talk about it. But yeah, it's here. It really came out. It had been 8 long years since the first Hollow Knight. Well, for me it was 2 months, but after so much speculation and news and trailers and delays and radio silence, on the 4th of September 2025, Team Cherry dropped Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, I didn't have the opportunity to wait 8 years for the sequel, but hypothetically, if I did, would it have been worth the wait? Obviously, yeah. I was sat there watching the credits just in complete disbelief that such a small team could create this, because I don't think any other 2025 release is gonna match Silksong for me. I mean, this month alone we've also got Borderlands 4, Dying Like the Beast, and Silent Hill F, and I already know none of them will reach the heights of enjoyment that I had for this game. Maybe Garfield Kart 2 will. I'm really sorry lads, this video is going to be an insane Glaze session. I mean, you might have already seen me do it for the first game, so I don't think you were expecting a negative review here, but Silksong is actually a bit more divisive than the first one among players. Like, most people still love this game, but I feel like I've seen a lot more complain about it for reasons that I will get into later. Anyways, let's crack on. So in Silksong, we take control of Hornet this time. She's been brought to a new land called Farloom, where she makes her way to the Citadel to figure out why she was kidnapped in the first place. And from there, you encounter pilgrims, a great singer, a prick, and a lot of bosses as you traverse the world. I think I prefer this story to Hollow Knight's one. I feel like the goal is clear from the start, and Hornet interacting with the world and characters helps us to understand her more and witness her arc throughout the game. Because she actually talks, unlike the Knight, we're able to learn about her, which makes her storyline more engaging. Not to discredit Hollow Knight, I still love the environmental storytelling there, but I do prefer how much more we can interact in Silksong. We don't really get to learn much about Hornet in the first game, and I feel like Silksong does a great character study of her, and Farloom is unbelievable as well. It feels so much more diverse compared to Hollow Nest. I feel like a few areas blended in together in the first game, but here, every place had a unique identity. You start off in a nice green luscious area before walking into a fiery industrialized coal mine. The variety seen in this game is crazy. Sometimes it even plays into the mechanics. Like in Mount Fae, it's so cold that you start losing your health if you stay out for too long. Or in Sinner's Road, where maggots will latch onto you and eat away at your silk. The world just feels so alive, and every area had me mesmerized. The craziest part is that I'm still missing a couple of areas. With the amount of work that they put into Farloom, you'd think they'd force you to see every single environment possible. It feels wrong to ignore such well-crafted areas. Apart from Hunter's March. Fuck that area, skip that one completely. So let's get into the gameplay, which is the big talking point of the game currently. Hornet controls much quicker compared to the Knight. She's way more agile, she's doing gymnastics when jumping, she can sprint through areas and so on. If you had her in the Forgotten Crossroads, you would have cleared the area in under an hour. Think of it as going from Dark Souls to Bloodborne. I'm not making that stupid joke again, it's just the best comparison that I can think of. It can take a little time to adjust to, as I feel like Hornet's movement is way more advanced than the Knight, but by the end of the game, I was flooring enemies like it was nothing. It feels so good when you have the hang of it, and when you get the upgrades like the dash, the float, the claw, and the double jump, you can blaze through areas no bother. However, the trade-off for a better character is tougher enemies and bosses, and Silksong is brutal. Although I love this game, if I have to be honest, I was not having much fun in the beginning. While enemies in the first game were simple to ease you into things, Silksong can be a pain in the arse from the start. For whatever reason, some enemies can deal 2 hearts of damage at the beginning of the game. Lads, I have no upgrades at this rate, no extra health, and I'm trying to learn the controls. Why am I dealing with tough enemies from the get-go? Also, they are complete sponges at the beginning. It can take ages just to kill one, which means what used to be 5-second encounters in the first game can now last between 30 seconds to a minute. Sometimes I was straight up skipping enemies when exploring because I could not be bothered wasting my health and silk on them. Currency is a bit of an issue at the start as well. In Hollow Knight, enemies only dropped Geo, which you would use in shops and other services. Silksong has shards and beads this time. Shards are used for the traps you can set up, while beads are used to buy things. And beads are non-existent at the start of the game. Most enemies were only dropping shards. The only ones that would drop beads were the ones that deal 2 hearts of damage, which would put you into a dilemma of whether to waste your health and silk for beads or skip the enemies and pray that you don't have to pay to unlock the next bench. All of this made the first few hours a bit frustrating at times, but I think what pissed me off the most at the start was the pogo. In the first game, the pogo was a simple downward strike that raised you into the air after. You know, simple but effective. Now in Silksong you can unlock crests that make the pogo more like what it was in the first game, but you don't get that in the beginning. You're forced to use the hunter crest. So rather than the simple downward strike, you hit at a 45-degree angle with the pogo, and that made the platforming a complete nightmare. It becomes a guessing game as to whether you're going to hit the rows and reach the next platform, or completely miss and fall into the spikes, wasting even more health on top of enemies dealing 2 hearts of damage. I am not Ronnie O'Sullivan. I was not that good at maths in school. I can't perfectly predict when or where to use my pogo to ensure that I land on the roses and not in the spikes. The hunter crest probably does suit some players, but I feel like it shouldn't have been the starter one. If the game started you out with the wanderer or reaper crest, it would have been far more manageable, as they have the simple pogo that make the platforming much less of a hassle. Now, I know I said this video is going to be a glaze fest, and here I am bashing a game I supposedly love. Don't get it twisted, I actually do like Silksong, and after a few hours I was constantly having a blast, but I just can't ignore the not so great beginning of the game. But once I got further into this game, the problems I had either disappeared or became less of an issue. The Reaper and Wanderer crests made platforming and pogos much easier. Mask shards gave me more health to deal with tougher enemies. Nail upgrades made enemies less spongy. Also, you soon encounter ones that drop plenty of beads, making currency less problematic. And with upgrades like the dash and the float, Silksong quickly turns into the absolute cream of the crop of Metroidvanias. It's so smooth to control, it's so satisfying to fight, and once again, I was getting lost in this huge world trying to find every nook and cranny that each area offered. There are so many combinations possible with Hornet when fighting, and the traps can give you a bonus advantage. I thought the Wish side quests were a neat addition as well, because it encourages you to explore your surroundings to get some good rewards. Yeah, they're really just fetch quests or tasks to kill the same enemy over and over, but it did motivate me to look around each area and fight enemies that I would usually ignore. And then we have the bosses, and this is where I learned that Hidetaka Miyazaki is not the only sick, twisted, evil bastard in the gaming industry, because Team Cherry can be just as bad here. Remember when I was talking about how tough the Hollow Knight was in the first game? Yeah? He would be a tutorial boss in Silksong. They are cruel. They take no prisoners. You will be folded like an omelette by some bosses here. Morwing, Sister Splinter, and Widow all gave me a hard time, and they're only Act 1 bosses, but I really enjoyed the selection here. The Cogwork Dancers was a really cool fight where you think it would be simple because they have the most predictable attacks, yet I still found it really intense and nervy when dodging and hitting them. And then they start attacking in intervals, so while I'm hitting one, I have to read where the next one is going. I felt like a prick when I killed the first one though. Now the other has nobody to hug.
What have I done?
Lace is a great foil to Hornet. It's almost like I'm fighting another main character from Hollow Knight, similar to how the Knight against Hornet felt. She will punish you if you get too greedy, and her fight in Act 2 felt like a proper test of your skill and patience. She's got tough combos, hard-hitting parries, and can easily corner you. She low-key overshadows Grandmother Silk, which, don't get me wrong, another great fight, but I feel like Lace brings the best out of the player and really forces them to use everything in their arsenal to win. But you might have seen that I said some not very nice things about the Last Judge and the Savage Beastfly, who might have made me a little bit upset. I'm not too sure how Last Judge annoyed me this much when I beat her in like 6-7 tries. I think the run back upset me more because it's some trek to go back to her. It was reaching Lost Islet levels here. The actual boss fight is brilliant though. I think it really prepares you for what is to come in Act 2. But the Savage Beastfly, no. He doesn't seem too bad at first. It's just a big boss in a small area. It seems manageable, but then he starts summoning enemies, and when you're fighting those enemies, he brings in more enemies. And then the game suddenly expects you to turn into Neo from the Matrix and dodge every single attack coming at you. Oh, what's that? There's 5 enemies coming at you and you have no safe space to avoid them? Good luck with that, bud. I will admit, if I struggle with any other boss in this game, that's on me. That's a skill issue. But here, what am I meant to do at some points? Apparently Team Cherry were having loads of fun when developing this game. Fun, is it? This was fun. Fun my fucking hole it was. I will come to your office and stick a Savage Beastfly up your arses. Then we'll see who's having fun. Like I said in my post, it's treading on Dark Souls 2 difficulty where instead of giving you a challenging but fair fight, it's just overloading you with enemies that make your deaths feel cheap and unfair. Yes, it's an optional boss fight. Yes, I didn't even use the crest that you unlock after beating him, but it's still shocking how poorly designed the Savage Beast fight is, especially when the rest of the bosses are so good in comparison. But going back to a more positive note, I really rate Team Cherry for the inclusion of Seth. If you don't know already, he's a boss in the game based on a character that cancer patient Seth Goldman created. It's sad he wasn't able to play this game, but it's still class to see his legacy live on in Silksong. But is this game too hard? It's another talking point among the community, as some feel like Team Cherry oriented the game around Godhome players. They think the bosses are way too hard for the more casual Hollow Knight players. Now, I'm not the most hardcore gamer. I like difficult games, but sometimes it can be too much for me. Sekiro, for example. I can't do it. I genuinely think the game is too hard for someone like me. So, I did beat Silksong, but did I think it could be too much? I don't think so. I think it's tough, no doubt, but it's not the hardest game I've ever played. If we don't count the Savage Beast fight, I think a boss took me 10 tries at most. And when you've played Elden Ring, that's absolutely nothing. If I was ever stuck, I would go back and explore. I went to get upgrades, get new pins, things that would make the boss fights easier. Like when I got whooped by Last Judge at first, I went back and improved my health as well as getting the polyp pouch which adds poison to your traps. And then, yeah, I beat her. I promise you, exploration does wonders for you. It makes the game easier. And if that's still not enough, I know it's such a lazy argument, but you have to get good. You have to know when you can hit, when to dodge, when to heal, and you have to anticipate every attack. If you want to beat a tough boss, you kind of have to know them inside and out. And look, I know this game will not be for everyone because of its difficulty, and that's perfectly okay. I'm not going to shun you for that, but I just feel like some players are complaining about things that can be resolved. If the enemies are too tanky, upgrade your nail. If you're low on beads, farm the enemies in the coral chambers. If you're stuck on a boss, don't only learn the boss, but get the pins that give you the best advantage. The beginning, I will agree, it's not great, but if you can overcome that, you can overcome the rest of the game, no bother. Moving on, the soundtrack is perfection once again. Christopher Larkin just knows how to make you feel with the music in the background. The booming intensity of Last Judge is a personal favourite of mine. It makes it feel like a final boss when it's only the halfway point of the game. Hands down, one of the best composers in the gaming industry at the moment. Overall, Silksong is an amazing piece of work and absolutely worth the long wait for players. It improves in a lot of ways compared to its predecessor, with the imposing story, the advanced controls, the acrobatic and faster gameplay, the creative bosses, the greater encouragement to explore, and so on. Even with a rocky start, I was completely hooked from start to finish. The more I played, the more I appreciated the amount of effort and love Team Cherry poured into this game. Except for the Savage Beast fight, they can go fuck themselves. I still have so much to explore, and also, I still need to get the true ending of the game, which I cannot wait to get into, honestly. I guess one little problem would be that compared to Hollow Knight, I didn't have that consistent level of enjoyment in Silksong that I did in the first game. Genuinely, just the start and Hunter's March brought my joy down, but otherwise, I could not have asked for a better experience and follow-up to one of the best games I have ever played. I would not be surprised to see this win Game of the Year, even with some steep competition. I give Silksong a 9, but I have a feeling I'll bring it up to a 10 when I replay it.
Pina sans mi manicette, d'un enfant sur le banc. Faridula si manette, doni point à volinette. Pina sans mi manicette, d'un enfant sur le banc. Faridula si manette, doni point à volinette.